All right, everybody can hear me? You guys hear me all right? Can you can hear me? Is this working? Test test button. There we go. Now I got the green light. All right. All right. So I'm Chris Henderson. I'm one of the product managers for Red Hat Insights. Been with Red Hat for 13 years this week. I know there's a few customers out here that when I started at Red Hat, I was a technical account manager. So I see a few of my customers out in the audience here. But last year or so, I've been back with Red Hat Insights. I'm one of the original product managers with Red Hat Insights when we launched it about 10 years ago. Did a little bit of stint in product security, and now I'm back focusing on security within Red Hat Insights. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about Insights in general, and then we're going to talk about one of our exciting announcements that we did at Summit and do a little bit of a demo. So I guess to start off with, who all here is using satellite? Pretty good number, pretty good number. And who all has heard of Red Hat Insights? That's good, that's good. And how many people have used Red Hat Insights? Yeah, about the same number. All right, and how many are using it in production? A little smaller number. All right, all right. So that's a good overview. We'll do a little bit of an overview, and then we'll get into it here. So we'll do the overview. We'll talk a little bit about the connected version, the hybrid cloud console version, and then we'll get into using Insights on premise. A little bit of roadmap and the demo. And hopefully we'll have a little bit of time left for QA. But if you have any questions as we go along, just raise your hand, shout them out, whatever. All right. So have you ever heard in your environment, oh, the database is running slow today, can't figure out why, or there's this new vulnerability that's in the news, and not sure, how many of our systems are affected by it, right? We've got these complex environments. I've got systems that need to be compliant with whatever framework, maybe a PCI DSS or CIS level 1 benchmark, right? There's a lot of complexity in our environments. There's one size fits all is kind of a myth. You got multiple operating system versions, diverse environments. You got on-prem, you got virtual, you got bare metal, public, private. Constantly asked to do more with less, right? That's all. We've always been hearing that for years and years and years. So it's a kind of a complex balancing act to keep everything going. Red Hat Insights is basically there to try to help you manage that complexity, avoid those risks, right? And it's included in your Red Hat subscription. So when you buy RHEL, Insights is available to you. So it'd be good to be using it. It makes life a lot easier. We work on helping your systems stay compliant, up to date. We identify security risks, performance risks. We've got this vast knowledge base from working with customers for all these years, right? Customers call in, support cases start to come in. We start to notice a trend. We create a signature, basically, and detect those issues within your environment, so you don't have to have those stability issues or performance issues. Manage that vulnerability risk in your environment, and we do and continuously monitor for your compliance with those frameworks. So our job is really, as Insights, is to try to make your job easier, make you more proactive rather than reactive, so that you can really work on those things that are really more important to the business, right? Not spending all your time firefighting and trying to keep the lights on. Doing those more innovative efforts that are a lot more fun, right? In general, we've done some studies. See some of the numbers up there. You can do a lot more with less, right? That's what we're trying to do. So Red Hat Insights in the hybrid cloud console. So this is our connected Red Hat Insights. Insights has been around for about 10 years. Over those 10 years, we've grown into a pretty wide suite of management services up there in our SaaS offering. From our original one is our advisor that does the recommendations for the performance, stability, a lot of security best practices, that sort of thing. Our vulnerability service is there to help you with your managing the vulnerabilities across your RHEL estate, knowing which CVEs affect your various systems, and so that you can go through and patch them or remediate them. We've got cost management. We've got a compliance service that is based on OpenSCAP. If you can go out to each system individually and run OpenSCAP, that doesn't really scale. So we've got our compliance service where you can build the policy right up there in the cloud. You run the Insights client with compliance flag. It downloads the policy, runs the OpenSCAP, and reports it back up to the cloud. So you get the reporting over your whole estate. Patch images. You can build images through our image builder service. That are compliant right out of the box. That's a great feature that's just coming out. And then we've got our newest service is our malware detection service. It's based on Yara. We've got our partnership with the IBM X-Force malware analysis team. They provide our malware signatures. So that's a new service out there as well, up in the cloud. So that full experience, if you want that full experience, all those things, connected is the best way. So you go to console.redhat.com. That's where you view everything. That does require the internet connection, though, right? Because you got to send that little bit of telemetry data up to Red Hat for analysis. So Insights on premise. So, since the very beginning, one of the first questions we were always getting has been, this is great, but I don't want to send my data up to Red Hat for whatever reason, right? There are a lot of various objections, especially in the early days. It's not so much as big a deal now because everybody's using cloud services, right? Everybody's used to SaaS. They see we can describe to you what we do for security and privacy to take care, be good caretakers of that data that we receive. But it's always been, my systems are air-gapped. I can't use this, right? Or I'm highly regulated and I just can't send any data to anybody. So we finally have an answer to that. We have brought the Insights Advisor service, so just that one service, that original service. We're bringing it into satellite. Right now, it's a kind of a limited version of it. It's tech preview, but it is built right into your satellite installation. So basically, instead of sending the data up to us, there's going to be a podlet running on your satellite server, a container, and it'll proxy it into that engine for analysis and provide you the service, the information right there. So don't have to send it off to Red Hat at all. So we've got a few different methods. So this kind of goes through all the different methods. So we've got various levels, right? So your fully connected version, right? You're running the Insights client right on your RHEL host. It's connecting right up to console.redhat.com and sending that little bit of telemetry data, and that's where the analysis is happening. If you've got satellite in your environment, you can enable Insights. Insights will proxy through your satellite and go up to the console.redhat.com. So that's still the connected version. At the beginning of this year, we also came out with an Insight proxy for those people who don't have satellite in their environment, but want to kind of funnel that all through a proxy. So we came out with our Insight proxy as our solution for that. And then now we have come out with the Insights Advisor running on satellite, which doesn't require any connection. There's no, like I said, no data sent up, no telemetry, that information set up to Red Hat. All the analysis is done right on your satellite server. So just kind of a diagram of the connected version, right? You can see RHEL host, satellite, Insights for RHEL up in the cloud. Versus the new version, RHEL host, satellite brings it back into the advisor that's running right in the satellite. No connection at all to the cloud console. One thing that does, though, is that we are severing, like if you're using any of the other services right now in Insights, if you went and did this, you would not have access to those other Insight services, right? You would not have the vulnerability service, the compliance service, subscription management service that we've got up there. So it does sever that connection completely between your satellite and the hybrid cloud console. So what are the requirements? Requirements are you have to have satellite 6.17. You got to be the latest, greatest, right? There's no additional hardware requirements for it. You need access to the Inside Advisor for satellite container image. So you can either pull that down off of our Red Hat container catalog, or it's also on the ISO image that you would install satellite with. Again, no connection needed to the hybrid cloud console. So it's pretty easy to get started with this. You log into the registry, you Podman pull the container down, you run the satellite installer to enable the update, the advisor engine, and then you're off to the races. And I'll show this as part of the demo today. So a few questions, general questions that we get, is the advisor and satellite part of my subscription? You do have to have a satellite subscription, but it is included as part of your satellite subscription because it is running on satellite. So you gotta have a satellite, right? Makes sense. How are the updates provided? So there'll be a new container image that'll come out approximately monthly, which will have any new recommendations that we've got built into it, right? Everything originally will go up to our connected service, and eventually it'll make it down into satellite, right? And cadence should be about once a month. Kind of, we're following the satellite release schedule. So, and again, does Inside Advisor on satellite send any data up into the cloud? Nope. Everything is going to be processed locally within your own deployed satellite environment. So a little bit about the roadmap. So we just released with 6.17 the Advisor as tech preview. So that's out there. Later this year, when 6.18 comes out, that Advisor service will have some enhancements to it. It'll have a little more parity with the connected version, and we are hoping to have our vulnerability service in there as well. It'll be a more limited version of the vulnerability service that you see out in the connected experience. Again, we'll enhance that as we go, and then into next year we will continue to add more services, probably the compliance service, maybe the malware service, some subscription management stuff. So eventually we'll get kind of that parity within satellite and the connected service. You can kind of think of the hosted service, the connected service, as the upstream, and the satellite experience, the self-managed experience, is kind of the downstream. So they're going to be about, probably at least 6 months apart, because we'll be doing the satellite release cadence. So with that, I'm going to jump right into the demo here. We'll do a little bit of the demo of the hybrid cloud console first, and then we will do this. We'll show a little bit of the satellite stuff.
I have a question on the update.
Yeah.
So you said the container image will be updated every month.
Mm-hmm.
So will the customer need to manually download that container every month, or will that automatically happen if they do a satellite update, or will it just happen automatically?
I think you'd have to do it manually for now.
You have to pull the container down.
Pull the container down, and yeah. All right, so here's our hybrid cloud console. So if you go to console.redhat.com, this is what you'll see. To get to the Insights for RHEL, it is right at the top left. So this is what our connected experience looks like, right? You've got all the services listed kind of on the left side. You've got the dashboard at the beginning to kind of give you that high-level overview of what your estate looks like. I'm going to look a little bit at the security stuff here. So we've got our vulnerability service. If I look at that, we list all of the CVEs that your systems would be vulnerable to within your environment. So here we see we got quite a few CVEs out here. This is a pretty wild environment because it's like everybody throws their systems in here. This is like the shared account within Red Hat. So lots of play systems in here. So if I just click on down there next to one of the CVEs here, you can see we've got a little bit more information about the CVE. We've got the link out to our Red Hat security details on that CVE if you wanted more information about that particular CVE. And we can see how many systems are affected by it, and whether there's an advisory available or not. So if we fixed it, is there a patch available for it or is it not? We also will show you stuff that we haven't fixed. Right now I've got the filter set there available. If I shut that off, you'll see a bunch of lows that we haven't fixed because we just don't really feel like we need to. We don't exercise those code paths. They're not really a vulnerability for the customer. But if you really need one of those fixed, you can buy the security select package that Nick was talking about earlier. So if I go into that CVE, we get a little bit more information. I can see my systems that are affected by it. I can see that there's a playbook available for it. So I could, select that system, hit plan remediation, and it'll take me through building a playbook for that, which I could either download and run myself, or if I'm fully connected, we do have a service here that'll push that playbook down and run it for you. So that's just kind of like very super high level of what the vulnerability service does. We've got reporting built in it. So you've got the executive report, which is going to give you that high level, top 10 sort of report. And then we've got our report by CVEs. So that you can kind of select and customize the report and get like the full report. So like maybe I need to send something off to my security team. Maybe they only care about things that have a CVSS score of 7 or above. I can set that to 7 and generate a CSV for them of everything that's got a 7 and above. Or I could go look at it by system view. If I know one system that I want to look at, I can go in here, I can filter by name and look at that particular system if that's really the way what I was curious about. We also have our compliance service. So our compliance service is based on OpenSCAP. So you can come in here, you can create a new policy, right? Pick your operating system version for this policy because they're tied to that. I can go in here, I can pick my CIS level 1. I can say, okay, my company says we're never going to get to 100. Let's set it to 95%. As you can customize your percentage threshold. So I could change this to like a 95 if that's what my company has decided was good enough. Next, popped it back for some reason. One more time. There we go. And then I can pick out which systems this policy applies to. Once I did that, I hit next, and the policy, let me just do that with one of them here. Takes you to the next screen where you can kind of tailor that policy a little bit if you want. Like if there's a rule, a policy in the standard set that doesn't apply to your company and its policies, you can take that out. Or you could do something like maybe I've got a password policy that's more stringent than this. I can come in here and say, okay, minimum length. Our minimum length, this one is set to 15. Let's say our policy is no, you got to have 20 characters. We're kind of nuts that way. I can come in here and I can set that to 20. Right. So you can tailor the policy to your company's needs. And I'm just going to cancel out of this so I don't actually create a new policy. Then you can go in once you run Insights. When you run on the systems that you selected, you run Insights client minus compliance. It basically downloads that policy, runs the OpenSCAP scan, and sends the report back up. And so you can go back into the report section here. And I'll look at, let's say I look at this one here. I can see that I'm 0% compliant. That's not so great. I can see that only one of the systems has actually reported in of the 3 that I selected. So I'm need to go and figure out why those other two are not reporting in. If I look at the one that has reported in, I can see that I have 107 failed rules, so I know that I need to go look at that. Um, a lot of those have playbooks that you can remediate with as well. And I can see my compliance score is 72%. So that's kind of like a high level overview of the compliance service. We also have our newer malware service, like I said, that's built off of IBM X-Force. So you can come in, see any malware matches that you've got. It's just something that you run on a schedule. It's not like a live, full-time running all the time sort of an antivirus sort of thing. It's a scan that you run out of your scheduler, whether that's cron or an Ansible's job, or however you want to schedule it. Come in, you can see some details. This is just a test malware signature. If I click on it, I can see which systems are affected by it and get a little more detail. There we go. So I can see that this system has got it. I can open it up. I can say, okay, this one's already resolved. I can mark it as resolved. You can set various statuses, so that somebody knows that you actually are looking at it. And then there's some more information, like here's where the match, this is the file that matched on the file system. So those are kind of the security services. So those are the services that really I look after as the product manager within Insights. Those are the ones that I'm mostly over. The other service that we want to talk about today is the advisor service. That's the one that we are pulling into Satellite first. So if you look at advisor, you've got your recommendations. So we've got a whole host of we call them rules or recommendations, where we go out, we look at that small bit of information that we pull, that telemetry information we pull. We look at it and we look for like known combinations that we know to be issues, misconfigurations, etc. So we've got a number here. I'm gonna do this through a system view so I can look at the systems that I just want. So enter my name. So these are the two systems that we're going to be working with today, Node 1 and Node 2. You can see we do have one recommendation on each of them. I last checked in around 6-7 hours ago. That's this morning. I ran the Insights client just to make it fresh. The workspace there, Hendersonville, that's my satellite server. So the inventory from satellite, if you've got it connected, we'll upload and put it in the right workspace. If I click into Node 1 here, we can see, okay, I've got decreased security due to my OpenSSH configuration. It's important. It's got a playbook, so if I wanted to, I could from here, again, select it, plan a remediation, and get a playbook to fix that. Otherwise, I can, if I look into the details of it, I can see exactly what the issue was that was detected. It tells me the current value that I've got. I've got it set to 20. It says, our best practice is 4. The default is 6, so you should probably just switch it to one of those two. It tells you exactly where to do that at, and the commands that you need to run afterwards. Reload SSH and run the Insights client so that the hit goes away. You also got a link off to the related knowledge base. So if you wanted a little more information, deeper information, you can go ahead and take a look at that. So advisor's got a lot of different rules for basically for stability, performance. Let's say I've got a network card that's misconfigured. That's a pretty common one. Like you just find that one off, but for some reason that system didn't have it set right. That's kind of the cool thing about this. By running it on everything, you find these little one-off things and you go, oh, so somebody didn't set that one right. Let's go fix that, right? And it helps you avoid those problems down the road when suddenly that NIC's getting filled up. You're getting congestion. You know exactly why, because Insights is going to tell you that you don't have this setting set correctly. All right, so let's go to take a look at the satellite server. Make me log back in. Yep. All right, so I've got Insights enabled on the satellite server. See, we've got our inventory is uploading and connected up. We see the same recommendations here as we saw up on the hybrid cloud console. It syncs up once a day, pulls those down. But you don't get as much information here, right? We don't have all the information about like what exactly, we need to do to remediate it. We do have the playbook available. And if I go here, I can pop out to the console, that top link, the view and Red Hat Insights. That'll take me out to that same spot that we were looking at in the console where I clicked on Node 1. It gives you all the information, and we've got the link to the knowledge base article. And since I've got satellite, I can, do remote execution and remediate this. So I'm going to do that with Node 1 right now. I select it, I hit remediate, and I'm going to set it to the default of 6 just for fun. I don't have to reboot it, so that's cool. And I'm going to hit remediate. Oh, there we go. And it's going to create the job to go out and remediate it, to run that remote execution. Right? If I want to look at the details of it, I can click on the host here. I can see it's running the playbook, right? Found the bright line, it's changed it. And if I refresh one more time, there we go. We see that it was done. Everything's good. It changed one. So everything's good with the playbook status. If I go back to my recommendations here, I'll have to sync again because it only pulls it down once a day. So we'll sync it up. It'll do the sync task. At the end of the playbook run, the last thing is it runs the Insights client, so it should be updated here. And now we see that Node 1 no longer has an issue. All right, so we've still got Node 2. So now we're going to show the disconnected experience. So I've got to go in and so over here. All right, so I already, just for speed, I already logged into my registry and I already pulled down the container. So now I'm just going to run the satellite installer to enable the advisor engine. I got a number in there for some reason. Oh, we'll see if it works. Yeah. I must have touched a button or something. There we go. So this usually takes just a couple minutes to run. Let's see, it goes through the system checks. Starting the system. I'm just running the satellite installer command that will enable the Insights Advisor disconnected. Yep. Sure, sure. So we're at 1,250 configuration steps out of about 1,600 right now, so we're getting close. And that's again. Last set evidently takes a little bit. So are there any questions so far about Insights in general? Straightforward. There we go. We're getting close. And we're done. All right. So it's telling me satellite's back up and running. So we're all good. So if I go back now to the other window and I refresh, there we go. You see now that inventory upload section is gone because we're not uploading stuff to the hybrid cloud console anymore. We still got our recommendation here from before. If I go in and I remediate this now, actually let's go up here. Let's go to node 1, node 2. So we can see here. So you see last seen at 1359 UTC. So I'm going to come in my satellite. I'm going to remediate node 2 now. And set it to 6 again, just like that. And again, it pops open the remediation job, a remote execution task. It's pending. Go and watch the detail of it. It's gathered the facts. Yeah, it looks like it's changed it to 6. Restarted SSHD. It's running the Insights client again now to do the updates, and we're all done. Looks good. Nothing failed. So now if I go back to Insights recommendations, node 2 is no longer there, right? If I go back up to the cloud version and I refresh, since I ran Insights client, normally you would think that the date would have updated, but it hasn't because it's not connecting up to the cloud anymore, right? So that's kind of how I show that. So what will happen with the one up on the cloud? In 2 weeks, by default, it will go stale and be deleted, and all the data associated with it will be deleted off of the cloud. So you don't have to go in and if you are going from the connected experience to an on-site experience, you would not have to go back in and clean that up. You could just wait 2 weeks or whatever. You can change that window too. There's a setting for that, but within 2 weeks, it would all be gone anyway. So yeah, so that's our new experience with Advisor. Like I said, we will be bringing it in, bringing in more features over the next couple of years to try to get a little more parity between the two experiences. But if right now you have to keep everything on site, if you've got a disconnected environment, air-gapped environment, we do have an option for you. So the other thing is, next slide up here. So we do have our customer demo series with the Red Hat Insights team. So we bring customers in to give us direct feedback. The product managers are on these calls. Usually we're showing off a new feature that we're thinking about doing, asking questions of our customers. So it's a good way to help influence our roadmap. We meet 2 weeks for about 3 to 4 months. Usually there's some sway we give you at the end of it, but it's a great way to interact with us and make sure that the product is something that's going to work for you guys, right? Our UX team also does research panels, so you also would submit your name to them so that they, some they'll still do user testing, that sort of thing with you to validate, where we're going, where we're headed. So yeah, so that's all I've got. The slides will have some ways you can learn a little bit more about this if you want to dig in a little bit deeper. Any questions or comments? Yes, sir.
I didn't catch in the demo, but are the recording features available in the disconnected experience?
No, not the what you saw there was really all that's there right now. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be basically what you would need to do to would be currently like this is our first iteration, right? As tech preview, so that experience will get better. But right now, it would be downloading the new container and bringing it in.
All this stuff is great,
All right. Well, thank you.